Soil seminar online this Friday. So today we have Andrés Moreira Muñóz, that he is going to present us about the Chilean Solanaceae. And so only as a short introduction, he's a professor at the Pontificia Catholic University of Valparaíso at the Institute of Geography. He's a doctor of natural sciences from the University of Erlangen-Nuremberg in Germany. His line of research focuses on the botanical geography of vascular plants of Chile and the Andes, and he has published 5 books and more than 80 scientific and outreach articles. He's currently developing different approaches in conservation biogeography and its broad interdisciplinary relationships, including links between physical geography and the humanities, biopolitics, design, and sustainability in biosphere research. So today he's going to show us about the advances in the knowledge of the Chilean Solanaceae and a taxonomic synopsis of the genus Schizanthus. So this talk is going to be in Spanish, but he's going to also present, like, the slides are in English as well. So I let you with Andrés, and thank you, Andrés, for giving us this talk today.
Gracias, Rocío. Puedo intentar hacer en inglés. Si tengo problemas, te consulto.
Sí, por supuesto, como prefieras.
Y decirme si se ve, si estoy compartiendo pantalla.
Sí, perfecto. Solo quedaría en verlo en modo completo.
Ajá.
Perfecto.
Bueno, muchas gracias, Rocío, por la invitación. Y como es una audiencia internacional, voy a hacer un esfuerzo por presentar en inglés.
Oh, sorry, estabas muteado sin querer, disculpa.
¿Ahora sí?
Sí, perfecto.
Ya estaba hablando en inglés, estaba haciendo mi mejor esfuerzo y no se escucha. ¿Ahora sí se escucha?
Sí, se escucha perfecto. Gracias.
Ok. Entonces decía que es más fácil hablar en inglés en seminarios presenciales, pero sin la interacción es un poco difícil, pero bueno, vamos a hacer lo que se pueda. For the international audience, I will do my best to speak in English, and if I have problems, I will ask Rocío for some help or advice. This presentation is about to take 40 minutes, I think, and then we can have some time for questions and commentaries, if you like. I'm very happy to participate in these seminars, so because this is a very, very active working team, and this is one of the group we have been researching and collecting in the field. So I have several novelties to share with you. I have to change, okay. Most of our species come from Atacama Desert. Curiously, Atacama Desert appears to be a very, very dry part of the world. Indeed, the research doing for sending people to Mars have been doing here in Atacama, but it is not all like this. There are several spots where we found many different plants, and I will talk a little about this, and we can then jump into the specific aspects of Solanaceae. In northern Chile and Argentina, also some parts of Peru and Bolivia, we have two biodiversity hotspots, a crossroad of hotspots, and supposedly there is a very, very high richness of plant species, but it is also one of the driest deserts, so it's a complement between richness and dryness, and we got lots of endemic species. And we are investigating all this relationship between climate, soil, environment, and the distribution of species, in particular Asteraceae, but also very focused on Solanaceae and other species-rich families. And also we have very interesting aspects of climate variability during blooming desert. So in several years and in several parts of the desert, mainly in the southern part and in the northern part, we found blooming, and many species of Solanaceae are participating in these bloomings. Here are some pictures from my students in the field when we can see a very diverse colors and morphologies of different families, and among these Alströmeriaceae and Amaryllidaceae, and among these Portulacaceae, we certainly find different species of Solanaceae, mainly Nolanas. Here we have also a Solanum. So participating in this wonderful variety of forms and colors in the desert. Also here we can see Nicotiana species among these nice Asteraceae, and also here a Schizanthus species. And we will have the time to speak a little more about Schizanthus in profundity. This is the landscape we found in southern Atacama when we get these blooming deserts. And they come several times on a decade, 2 or 3 times. And we are investigating which are the components of these blooming deserts. This nice color is made by Cistante, a Portulacaceae. And usual methods used for our research include monograph revisions, very hard work, taxonomic revisions, and field work. When before pandemia, we used to go to the field, and now it's being difficult, but we still find how to do it. We have to do systematic work, phylogenetic and biogeographic analysis, remote sensing, phytosociology, much computer time consuming. And we spend all of the time finally writing papers in stress for reaching the deadlines. But this is common for all of us, I think. In the middle of the desert, when we get the blooming desert, we found this kind of soil, broken soil, clay, and in between we found some nice Nolana species, like this Nolana leptophylla, found on the way to the heights of Parinacota, in these nice spots between the dry slopes of the desert. Solanaceae is the fourth family in species richness in our country. We have the Asteraceae in the first place, then we have the Poaceae, the Fabaceae, and then the Solanaceae with around 170 species and around almost 90 endemic species. They compete with Cactaceae in endemic species, reaching 90 species, but species numbers are very dynamic. Here, some of the aspects of this diversity of Solanaceae, Asteraceae, Fabaceae, and Poaceae. And among the most diverse genera, we found the most diverse genus in our country is Senecio, and then we have Desmia. And in the with more than 40 species, Nolana is recognized now as having around 50 species. We have Nolana, and we have also Solanum with more than 40 species. We are lucky that Maria Virginia Palchetti, Juan Jose Cantero, and Gloria Barbosa studied Solanaceae diversity in South America. And we can see in their paper recently published that the country with more species in South America is Peru, and Brazil and Ecuador, and Chile doesn't reach a very high number of species. Here concentrated in Solanum and in this light blue, the Nolana species, same as Peru. But with endemic species, especially of Nolana, Chile is very, very high in these numbers. We have 21 genera and reaching almost 170 species, with some infra-specific taxa in Lithium, in Jaborosa, in Schizanthus, and in Solanum. We have a long history of development of Chilean botany with several naturalists like Juan Ignacio Molina, Maria Graham, Rodolfo and Federico Filippi, and also Carlos Reiche and Ivan Murray Johnston. The first to take collections to the National Herbarium is Carlo Bertero, and Claudio Gay was the one who did the first National Herbarium. Edward Pepich also was trying to follow Humboldt's steps. So we have collections from all these people that help us to know better our flora. And the National Herbarium is reaching more than 70,000 exemplars in the groups that we are interested, and with several peaks of collection associated to the work of Filippi and associated to the work of Carlos Muñoz Pizarro and others. And we also have the accumulation very, very high in the beginning of the 20th century, and here is reaching a plateau, the types. And from the Solanaceae phylogeny, we have several genera in our flora. This is the poster made by Theodore Cole. And we have at the base of the phylogeny, as a sister clade to the rest, have the genus Schizanthus that we will talk a little more in now. And we also have the genus Reyesia. And we also have Calibrachoa and Nirenbergia, and also Salpiglossis, all in between in the basal part of the phylogeny. We also have Vestia ancestrum as genera, and in the middle of the phylogeny we have Nicotiana also, and Latua jaborosa, and we have, of course, the most high diversity of Nolana and several species of Lithium. And in the derived part of the phylogeny, we can find Nicandra and Solanum, of course, with also a high diversity, and also Dunalia, but with just one species. If we check the distribution of the Solanaceae in Chile, thanks to all collections we have in Chilean herbaria, we see concentration in Central Chile and in the north, and to the south we find just few species and genera. The concentration of genera we found here in Central Chile, recognized as the Central Chilean Biodiversity Hot Spot, between the Atacama region, southern Atacama, and the metropolitan region. And for the numbers of species, we also a little hotspot of Solanaceae diversity in Altiplano, where we can find Dunalia and Fabiana, among others. And in species, we find here a very interesting and remarkable hotspot of diversity in the coast of Atacama. This is made mainly by the presence of Nolana. This other hotspot in the Altiplano in the north is made also by several species of Solanum. So we can roughly speak about two hotspots or fine hotspots of Solanaceae in Chile, one in the coast of Atacama, and another very, very concentrated hotspot in Altiplano. Here's some examples. At the right, Dunalia spinosa from the high parts of northern Chile, and Reyesia juniperoides, one of the genus having the most little flowers, not reaching more than 1 centimeter, including the whole corolla. Some species from the highs are also Salpiclo ascandens and Solanum chilensis, formerly considered a Lycopersicon, but now it is considered as a Solanum species. And if we check several genera with number of species, we found in southern Atacama concentration of Lithium species, and also we find the concentration of Nicandra species. And And if we check the concentration of Nolana, of course, we found these hot spots along the coast of Atacama between southern Antofagasta and north of Coquimbo. And in Solanum species, as I was telling you, two fine hot spots at the coast of Atacama and Coquimbo, and also in the high Andes, reaching 12 species. There are some cryptic species, and in the last field season we could do before we get into pandemia. Last year we found this rare species in the Precordillera of Tarapacá, and this was a species described by Rodolfo Filippi in 1891, and we rediscovered it after 128 years that it was lost. We just had the type exemplar, and this pertains to the section Regmandra and has these very remarkable leaves that tied to the tile here. And this was published thanks to the advice from Sandy Knapp in PhytoHis, so you can find easily the publication about this Solanum polyphyllum. Talking a little about the richness, we concentrate on the coast of Atacama, south of Antofagasta. This is the landscape we found there with the humidity concentrated on the coastal cliffs, and doing the special opportunity for vegetation to settle there. There are some interesting and curious species like big euphorbias, Euphorbia lactiflua, as a reminder of the succulent euphorbias from Northern Africa. There are some succulent oxalis also, the most big oxalis we can find in the desert, with also some big cactaceae from the genus Eulignia. And among them, we found this diversity of Nolana, here Nolana divaricata, and also the diversity of Solanum, like this Solanum brachyantherum. Several representatives of the fauna are very, very interesting also to find. Nolana stenophylla is the one showing the big flowers, for example. And we have one of the most incredible protected areas on the coast, that is Pan de Azúcar National Park. And here we see also cactaceae that are being protected in this park from the genus Copiapoa. Among them, one of the tiniest little cacti in the world, Copiapoa hypogea. Also, we find Lithium Minutifolium, one of the most beautiful lithium species, and this one that was considered Grabowskia and now is considered Lithium boeragifolium, a big shrub with very, very nice open flowers. This one is very difficult, very easy to see because it is in Taltal, in the cabañas where we used to stay there. it has been cultivated. And also in the places where fog is coming, we can find different herbaceous species of oxalis and with this Nolana divaricata. In one spot close to Taltal, we found between 3 and 5 species of Nolana. Nolana linearifolia, for example, Nolana incana, and Nolana divaricata just mentioned. And on the way to Pan de Azúcar, just on the road, we can see or find these nice exemplars of Nolana patula. If we can I can show you a video of this spot. It will be, I think, interesting for you, but I might need to, okay, share again. I hope this is working, Rocio.
Yes, we can see the video.
Can you hear the music also?
Yes.
La costa de Atacama y Antofagasta, este sector en particular, Taltal Paposo, alberga un importante número de especies endémicas que son exclusivas de esta zona y son una especie de maravilla evolutiva. Y eso es lo que andamos buscando.
hay un adagio que dice, no se cuida lo que no se conoce.
De esta forma podemos tener información más detallada de las especies endémicas de la costa y de aquellas que pudiesen tener problemas de conservación. Okay, I wanted to show the video as a transition with the second part that I want to show. That has to do with the genus Schizanthus. Let me check. Can you see, Rocio,
Yes.
the second part? Okay. This is a nice mosaic we found at the coast of Copiapó in Caldera, and we still haven't decided which one is this, and you might help us decide which is this species. We had done the first attempt to understand better the taxonomy of Schizanthus on 2008 with Melika Muñoz in the Chagual Journal of the Botanical Garden in Santiago, and we still had many questions, we presented this work 2 years ago in Mendoza, and Sandy pushed us to try to publish or to do a revision and publish it, and we did it. And we were very lucky that Vanessa Morales was working with us, and she took the challenge to study in deep the genus Schizanthus. And we could publish it last year as a synopsis of Schizanthus. And these are the most remarkable aspects of the revision. We recognize 17 taxa, 14 species with 3 infraspecific taxa. The genus is distributed in Chile between the coast of Atacama and the southern temperate forest with fewer species. And 2 species reach Argentinian provinces of Mendoza and Neuquén. We did this revision based on the analysis of the specimens we found in 30 different herbaria. And Vanessa took the challenge also of study almost every photograph of Schizanthus that you can find on the internet. So we could do this revision, and we described 3 new taxa, and Schizanthus porigens subespecies borealis and Schizanthus carlumunosi, variedad carlumunosi and variedad dilutimaculatus. And we also recognize Schizanthus litoralis var humilis as a new combination. Here I will show several of the species. You can download the paper from PhytoKeys, and the species tend to concentrate. Here is the whole range of distribution from south of Tarapacá region towards Central Chile, and then almost reaching Chiloé for the ones who know Chile. And here we find some collection sites also in Mendoza and Neuquén in adjacent Argentina. And the concentration of species occurs here in the region where we are now in Valparaíso, and also in Coquimbo. Also the Santiago Cordillera has 4 species richness. This is the core of the biodiversity hotspots in Central Chile, and we have several species, genera, that show this concentration of species in Central Chile related to the long isolation of Central Chile, for the one side having the Atacama Desert, and on the other side the temperate forests that make long isolation of Central Chile and high presence of endemic species in several groups. Here we see some remarkable species like Schizanthus parvulus, the one in the south of Coquimbo, which is has the most little flower, not reaching 1 centimeter wide. And these are several species from Atacama, Schizanthus integrifolius, Schizanthus candidus, Schizanthus lactus. This is Schizanthus parvulus, editile, with here like having like a landing platform for bees and pollinators. Here Schizanthus alpestris, that has a wider distribution range from southern Atacama to Valparaíso, is also a little flower. Here we can see it at the Cordillera living together with Schizanthus, Eloaceae, Schizanthus with Schizanthus. One of the characteristics of the species is all are herbs with trichomes and sticky glandular hairs. Leaves are entire, most of them serrates, lobed to pinnatisect, with strongly monosymmetric resupinate at anthesis. And the most interesting thing, I think, is anthers that are explosive, with little stigma, and the distribution in Chile and Argentina. Here, floral scheme with the superolip and very, very DVD here is divided. And here we have a video that shows character of explosive anthers, well described by Andrea Cucucci and Argentina. If you pay attention, you will see the whole. This is sent by Anita, my friend, and I can show it again. You have to pay attention now.
Listo, grabando.
Okay, we can talk about this later. One of the most interesting aspects of Schizanthus is the floral diversification as adaptation to different pollinators, and mainly two different pollination syndromes has been described by bees and by moths, and more recently a third syndrome that is pollination by hummingbirds. A few species with white corollas not show any apparent relation to any pollinator. That means that Schizanthus lacteus and Schizanthus candidus possibly represent an anachronistic character that is maintained despite the disappearance of the original pollinator. This could be due to the continuous aridification of Atacama, which would have decreased the presence of pollinators. And today, this Schizanthus species would be dependent on self-pollination for their maintenance. Here we can see the hummingbird species that pollinates Schizanthus grahami and also Schizanthus hookeri in the cordilleras of Central Chile. Here we have the detail of distribution of Schizanthus hookeri, grahami, and a much concentrated distribution of Schizanthus coccineus, and also an image of Schizanthus grahami, one colorful species, and in the background a calceolaria species. And Schizanthus candidus, we try to find on a field trip with my students if there was indeed no pollinator around. So we spent 2 days looking at the flowers, and we find indeed no pollinator, but we also put cameras on for the night, and we could see that at least one fly, the Diptera, was trying to reach the flower, but we cannot be sure that they were pollinating. So it is still a question if these plants are pollinated or not at the moment. Another interesting species is Schizanthus laetus from the coast of Tarapacá to the coast of southern Antofagasta, and there are a gradient of different colors, and college I think are describing 2 or 3 new species. So we still have to wait what are the news in this species soon. Schizanthus porrigens was very confused in the herbarium collections, and also on the internet, on the pictures we could download. And now we have a much better understanding of the species and its distribution, and the presence of these remarkable marks here in the lips of the sides. And it has subspecies borealis north of Coquimbo, with this color that is more like purple, and the mark here on the side that is less evident. Schizanthus splendens is a very nice species with this big yellow spot in the middle, and is very very stable. Wider distribution in the latitudinal gradient, and from south of Valparaíso to region de los Ríos, and has a long lip, this one, in the back part. Schizanthus litoralis variedad humilis was very confused also, and we could learn that this is a very restricted distributed species, just known from 2 localities, and 1 locality we couldn't find it anymore, so we suspect it is only found in 1 locality in the northern part of the coast of Valparaíso region. And very remarkable these colors here in the lateral lips. This one species was also very confused and has very stable marks in the lateral lips, and this big color here, and it was also long illustrated, and we called it Schizanthus carlomunosi, in honoring Carlos Muñoz Pizarro, one of our great botanists. And it has also variedad dilutimaculatus that is slightly different in color, and also show this color scheme is very stable in the field. I want to say acknowledgement to all people who is working with us and helping mainly in the field and with the computer work: Vanessa Morales, Mélica Muñoz, Rodrigo Villaseñor, Luis Morales, Pia Oces, Juan Guenuqueo, Gaspar Galvez, several students, and of course Sandy Knapp, who is all the time doing advice for us, and also Iris Peralta, long friend from the Solanaceae. And also here we must acknowledge our students and the rangers that are protecting these species in our national parks. And if we have 1 minute, I will like to show you the last video, that is a video about how is changing the landscape of southern Atacama according to phenomenon El Niño and generating blooming desert. Let's see. If you focus on the image on the right, you can see very well how the coast of southern Atacama turns into green according to satellite images every 3 or 5 years. This is 2010, 2011, 2012, 2015 we shall have a blooming desert, and 2017 also we have traces of it. and also for northern Atacama, blooming desert that has not yet been well defined. We found it on the Precordillera on the way to the Altiplano as like transition from the desert to the Altiplano that gets very, very humid in several years. You will see as a fringe here, a green fringe. That is 2019. We had a very interesting blooming desert in the Precordillera of Tarapacá and Parinacota, where actually when we find the Solanum polyphyllum. And that's what I wanted to share with you. And I'm happy to get some comments and impressions, and I hope not having boring you with long videos.
Thank you very much, Andres. That was amazing, like a really good picture of all the diversity and nightshades in Chile. That was great. So now we are open for questions. And if you have a question, you can just drop it in the chat, or you can just say, I have a question, and you can turn on your microphone. So Gustavo has a question first.
So hello, everybody. Hello, Andres. Thank you very much for this interesting presentation, for this travel to the biodiversity and all these beautiful landscapes. I am very curious, of course, about the blooming deserts. I'm working with one of that species, Solanum chilense, and we are especially interested on the evolution of the seed banks in that region. So I just would like to know if you know some experiments about the prevalence of the seed banks in any of the species occurring in the surrounding Atacama region, and what do you know and how much is known about this feature in the plants there?
Yes, thank you, Gustavo. There are several experiments or field experiments in southern Atacama, but they are already old, like late 90s, and not more recent. And the results were that with the input of water, you can get your own little blooming desert. But the specific amount of water is experiments are not being continued. So we also still have the questions: how much water is it? If it is the concentration of the water, or if it is better for the blooming that it rains 2 or 3 times in 1 month. We have different cases. You can have a very strong rain in July and nothing more, or you can have 2 or 3 rains in August, and every time the response of the desert is different. So it's hard to get, when we are studying it with satellites, it's hard to get the same signal in the same pixel 1 year after the other. So I think the seed bank is also diverse, and it is reacting in different forms. Also, the blooming desert in the northern part Some years we get rain, but the rain is coming too early and the seeds do not respond. And then we got rain little late on winter, and the seed bank reacts very strong. So it's a very good question, but we don't have many answers. In the coast of Iquique, colleges have field station, and I think in a place called Alto Patache, and they are irrigating the seed bank to most periodically to see what happens. And I remember now in 1 week, I think, college will speak about the flowers of the coast of Tarapacá. I think this is a new field guide, so I will share with you the link so you can participate in this presentation. They might have more information about this.
Yeah, that's great. I will send you an email and I will be happy to participate on that. Also,
I will share it
little...
with the whole group.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just one little detail. These experiments of the seed bank are done in situ, like you input water in situ. You don't take the soil and transport to some specific place, or?
Not that I know. The botanical garden in Santiago had some time the idea of doing this, but I don't think they have done it yet.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice presentation.
Thank you, Gustavo, for the questions. And then we have Carolina Carrizo Garcia also has a question. She wants to turn on.
Yes, you mentioned Nicandra.
Yes.
In one picture, you mentioned that there are like 5 species. It is possible?
Yes, I think it is possible.
Okay.
Let me check in the presentation. No. That's it. That is just one species. And
no. There are several species of Nicandra. It's not just one species.
Yeah, I know, but we have the record of just 3 species. And I wrote down here like up to 5 species, so I'm not sure which are those 5 species.
No, that's my fault. I have might change one of the maps of Nicotiana with the one of Nicandra.
Ah, okay. okay, no, that's it. Do you have, by chance, have you seen?
Sorry, we have one Nicandra species.
Nicandra, okay. Have you collected that Nicandra? Because we are interested in that.
Oh, I personally haven't collected it, but we certainly have it at the herbarium. And I will do an extra effort when I went next time to the field to find some if you have a special interest.
Yeah, we are collecting Nicandras and we don't have any sample from Chile, so that would be really interesting.
Okay, one challenge more.
One extra challenge, yeah. Thank you, really nice, really nice. You made me miss the field trips.
I'm also missing field trips. We 2 months ago we could do this video I was showing, and then we went again into quarantine. So we have to use every window we can find to go again to the field.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry about the Nicotiana map change.
No, it's okay, it's okay. Now it's clear. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carolina. And yes, there is also a comment of Pat Beringer saying that this is has been a beautiful presentation, and thank you. And Lynn has a few questions.
Hello, wonderful, beautiful presentation. I want to come and see the beautiful blooming desert and all those great plants. So thank you so much. I have a few little questions. So is there nectar in the flowers of Schizanthus?
Sorry?
Do Schizanthus have nectar?
Yes.
Uh-huh. What about the ones that the pollinators are unknown? Do they also produce nectar?
Oh, so far as we know, they produce not just good or enough nectar. So they are producing like very few nectar, and the ones, as for example, the parvulus, the one I show, if you can even, the little one, the little pink one, you can even see the nectar drop. And but the others are producing very few, and we still see several insects coming, approaching, but we are not sure if they actually indeed pollinate. So it's still a question.
The absence of nectar or very small amounts might be another argument for self-pollination in those species. Okay, very interesting. So I live in the desert of the United States, and we also have super blooms periodically, and especially in the deserts of California. And they're often associated with El Nino events. And is that the same in Chile?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
When we have El Nino events, usually we get some rains. As I said, not every time is different, the amount and specifically where it rains, but we still have as a landscape a very remarkable blooming desert. It's every time different on time and the species appearing, but this makes this most interesting even. And the one we just detected was not published before. We have a publication on this. I can share it also with you. It was the one in the north, in the northern transition to the Altiplano. We think the signal is very fewer than when we, in satellites, we have in the southern Atacama, we have signal from late 80s when we get the satellite images, but in the north, the signal was very, very weak and is getting more strong. So this might be, but we are not sure, interesting aspect of climate change that we get this northern blooming desert.
Wow, that's
and we are certainly very interested in what happens in California, because with some colleges we had the idea of doing a world survey on blooming deserts, but we haven't found enough partners.
Oh, that would be fantastic. That would be super good. I have one more question. You know, I'm a Solanaceae expert, but my question is about Chenopodiaceae. So I'm wondering, I don't know very much about the Chilean flora, but do you have many chenopods, Chenopodiaceae, and especially Atriplex in the coastal desert?
Yes. If I have in mind, we might have 20 or 20 species. I can check it, or you can download the book.
Okay, I'll look. Because we are also, I live in Utah, and we're also a center of diversity of Atriplex and Chenopodiaceae in general. And your pictures of the Atacama look like many places here. The soils are really diverse, but often clay. And, you know, we have these rainfall patterns that sound really similar. So you need to come and visit me here. And I'll come visit you. Okay.
When I can buy a ticket, I will do it.
Okay. Thank you very much. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn, for the questions, and thank you, Andres. I think we don't have any more questions, or if there is someone else who has a question. It was interesting about the Schizanthus that there are always these glandular hairs. Is that something like it's shared across all the different species of Schizanthus?
Yes, yes. Most of them has this gland. Yes.
And that could be related to the habitat, like the coastal environments, like they. What do you think that could be the function of those glandular hairs on these plants?
That's a good question. We haven't related this to different environments. We have it from the drier environments to much more humid, but as I showed, the concentration of species is in the Atacama and Central. So I might need to think about it. I don't have an answer for that.
No, it's okay. Yes, I found it interesting that there's always these species with this particular kind of synapomorphy for the entire group. So, well, I think we don't have any more questions. So thank you very much, Andres. That was a great presentation and a really good picture of all the Solanaceae from Chile. And we are going to see again next Friday for another talk. This next Friday is going to be Natalia Pavón Mora from Colombia, who is going to present about the anatomical and genetic basis of fruit diversity within the Solanaceae family. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Next Friday. Thank you, Andres.
Thank you for organizing, Rocio.
Okay, bye.